Welcome to Epic Reads Unfolded, the show where we break down these insightful books into those key takeaways that everyone can take home.
Yeah.
And today we are diving into The Millionaire Master Plan by Roger James Hamilton.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's not your typical get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
It's more of like a guide to understanding how your natural talents can actually align with wealth creation.
It's like finding your own path,
Yeah.
instead of trying to fit into someone else's mold.
Exactly.
The book actually uses this really interesting metaphor.
Okay.
It's called the Wealth Lighthouse.
Okay.
And it basically illustrates this whole concept of, aligning your talents with wealth.
Okay.
So imagine like a lighthouse, right? With all these different levels.
Uh-huh.
Each level represents like a different stage of wealth.
Got it.
But it's not just about climbing the ladder,
Okay.
It's about understanding where you are right now.
Okay.
And what your natural strengths are.
So it's kind of like figuring out what boat you're sailing before you can even chart a course.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So speaking of strengths,
Yes.
the book goes into this whole concept of natural genius, right? And it categorizes them into these 4 types.
Okay.
Dynamo, blaze, tempo, and steel.
I remember those.
Yeah, and there's even this little arm folding exercise in the book
Oh,
to
yeah.
help you figure out which one you are.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I tried it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, it's eerily accurate.
Yeah, it is.
So I was like, whoa, okay, there's something to this.
There is.
But what I found really fascinating is how the book then links these geniuses to the flow of wealth.
Yeah, it's not just about, your personality type.
Right.
It's about how those traits actually play into your financial journey.
So how does it explain that connection?
Well, it uses the analogy of a river, like how water flows naturally downstream.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of fighting against the current, right?
Right.
It's about finding your place within that flow.
Okay.
And leveraging your genius to move forward.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah, it shifts your whole perspective.
It does.
On wealth creation.
Yeah, so it's not just about hard work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about working smart.
Exactly.
And aligning yourself with the right opportunities that kind of fit with your natural inclinations.
That's the key.
I like it.
Yeah, and that's where understanding your current level in this Wealth Lighthouse comes in.
Okay.
Figuring out where you are on that map.
Got it.
And the book really stresses this urgency
Okay.
of escaping the infrared level.
Infrared?
Yeah, it represents negative cash flow.
Oh.
It's like a trap that anyone can fall into.
Really?
Regardless of income.
So even if you're making decent money.
Yeah, you could still be in infrared.
Interesting.
If you're spending more than you're earning.
Okay.
Or not managing your money effectively. So the first step is really about getting out of that negative zone.
Okay. How do you do that?
Well, the good news is there's a clear path out.
Okay.
The book outlines 3 main steps.
Okay, let's hear them.
Measure your money, commit to conduct, and do your duty.
Do your duty. What's it all about?
It's about fulfilling your financial obligations, like paying bills on time and stuff.
Okay, makes sense. And I'm guessing each genius has a different way of tackling these steps.
Absolutely. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. That makes sense. Could you give us an example?
Sure. The book talks about Rustica, a Dynamo genius, and how she used her creativity to get herself out of debt and achieve positive cash flow.
Oh, that's interesting. So how did she do that?
Well, instead of getting a second job, which felt soul-crushing to her, she started making these amazing jewelry pieces and selling them online.
Wow, so she turned her passion into profit.
Exactly. It's really inspiring.
So, okay, let's say you've escaped the dreaded infrared. What happens next? You start climbing the Wealth Lighthouse.
Precisely. And each level, it's a different stage, of wealth creation. And a shift in mindset, too.
Okay, so walk us through that. What are the levels?
Well, you start with the red level, right? That's survival mode. Then you move to orange, where you start to gain independence.
Independence, okay. So you're not just scraping by anymore.
Right. Yeah. You're working for a living, building savings, finding your place in the market.
Okay.
And then comes yellow. That's where things get interesting. You become a player in the wealth game.
A player, huh?
Yeah.
So you're not just working for someone else, you're creating something of your own.
Exactly. You're starting businesses, making investments, building your own enterprise. It's exciting.
And the book gives us some real-life examples of this, right? people who've actually done it.
Oh, tons. It highlights people like Michael, a tempo genius who made it big in property investment, and Chandresh, a steel genius who thrives in tech.
So it shows that there are many different paths to wealth, as long as you're aligned with your genius, right?
Absolutely. And that's what makes this book so powerful. It gives you this framework, but also acknowledges that everyone's journey is going to be different.
Okay, this is where things get really intriguing for me. The book talks about this level that's beyond the typical markers of wealth. It's called the alchemy prism. What exactly is that all about?
That's like the top of the Wealth Lighthouse. Like you've gone beyond just personal gain, and you become what the book calls a trustee.
A trustee. So you're impacting the world in a positive way. Is that what you mean?
Precisely. It's not just about building a fortune anymore. It's about using that fortune to make a difference.
So it's about leveraging your wealth and influence for a greater good. Okay, that's powerful stuff. But how do you even get to that level? Does the book give a roadmap?
Well, that's what's so interesting about it. The book actually acknowledges that it doesn't have all the answers for this alchemy prism.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because even the author, he's still on that journey himself.
So he's being really transparent about the fact that he's still figuring things out, too.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this whole concept of the alchemy prism even more fascinating. It's like we're all exploring this uncharted territory together.
Wow, I love that. So it's a journey of continuous discovery and growth, even at the highest levels of wealth.
Absolutely. And it emphasizes that there's always more to learn, always new levels to reach, even beyond traditional financial success.
That's really inspiring. Okay, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about some practical steps we can take right now. The book mentions 8 empowering questions for daily reflection. Have you found any of these questions particularly impactful in your own life?
The one that always gets me thinking is, what am I grateful for?
Oh yeah, that's a classic. Why does that one resonate with you?
It's so simple, right? But it really shifts my perspective, It reminds me to focus on the positive, appreciate what I have, which I think is essential for attracting more abundance.
That's a great point. It highlights how mindset plays such a huge role in achieving financial success. It's not just about the practical strategies. It's about cultivating the right attitude and beliefs as well.
Couldn't agree more. And those empowering questions, they act as these little reminders to keep us aligned with our goals and focused on personal growth.
So for our listeners out there, we highly recommend checking out all 8 questions in the book. You might be surprised at the insights you gain from just, asking yourself these powerful questions.
And what's really interesting, the book actually dedicates like a whole chapter to exploring the strengths and weaknesses of each genius type.
Oh, so it's not enough to just figure out what your genius is.
Right.
You have to actually understand how to use it effectively in different situations.
Exactly. It's like having a superpower,
Okay.
but not knowing how to control it.
Got it.
For instance, Dynamo geniuses, right? They're known for their big ideas and their innovative thinking, but they might struggle with the day-to-day details, you know?
So they're like big picture thinkers, but maybe not so good with the nitty gritty.
Yeah, they see the whole forest, but they miss some of the individual trees.
I like that analogy.
It works.
So what's the solution there?
Well, the book suggests partnering with someone who complements your strengths,
Okay, so finding someone who's good at what you're not.
Exactly like a steel genius, for example. They excel at structure and organization.
So a dynamo and a steel genius teaming up, that sounds like a powerful combination.
It's like building a dream team, where everyone's strengths kind of fit together.
I love that. And this actually goes beyond just business partnerships too, right?
Absolutely.
This can apply to personal relationships as well.
Oh, totally. If you're a blaze genius who loves spontaneity, you might clash with a tempo genius who thrives on routine,
Oh yeah, opposites attract, but sometimes they also clash.
Exactly. But if you understand these differences,
right,
it can actually lead to more understanding and harmony in your relationships.
So it's all about communication and awareness.
And that brings us back to the book's central theme,
Finding your flow.
Yes. It's about leveraging your genius, understanding the dynamics of the larger system to create wealth and success.
I like that. And it all ties back to the Wealth Lighthouse, right?
Yeah, that's our map.
Okay.
For this journey.
So we got to figure out where we are on that map first.
That's step 1.
Which means escaping infrared if we're stuck there.
Exactly. Which, as we said before, can be a trap for anyone, even if you have assets.
So it's not just about how much money you make, right?
No, it's about how you manage it.
And making sure you're actually in the positive cash flow zone.
Positive cash flow. That's the key.
And the book offers specific strategies for each genius type to achieve that.
Right, because what works for a dynamo might not work for a steel genius.
Totally makes sense. Can you give us some examples?
Sure, so a dynamo genius, right? They might need to focus on like channeling their creativity into a profitable venture, while a steel genius might need to like create a super detailed budget and just stick to it religiously.
Okay, so different approaches for different personalities.
Exactly. And you know what's great?
Right.
The book also tackles those common excuses
Oh, I know those.
we all make, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have time to budget, or I'm just not good with money.
Oh, those are classics.
And it provides like practical solutions to overcome those mental roadblocks.
So it's not just about the strategy, it's also about mindset.
Big time. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to financial success is our own thinking.
So true. Okay, so let's say we've escaped infrared. We've got our mindset right.
We're ready to climb.
What's next?
We ascend the Wealth Lighthouse.
Okay, lay it on me. What are the levels?
All right, so we start with red level. Remember?
Survival mode.
Survival mode, exactly. It's about achieving like basic financial stability.
Oh, okay.
Building that solid foundation.
So it's about covering your basic needs.
Yeah.
Making sure you're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Right. And it's also about like setting higher standards for yourself.
Okay.
And identifying what you're truly passionate about, because it's not just about getting by.
Right.
It's about creating a life you love.
So it's about finding purpose and meaning even at this early stage.
Absolutely. And then as you move up to orange level, you start to gain a sense of independence.
Independence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're not relying on others as much.
You're working for a living, building savings, finding your unique place in the market.
So you're becoming more self-sufficient.
Yeah, and it's about recognizing your own value
Okay.
and leveraging your skills to create something meaningful.
I like that. Okay, so then we move on to yellow level, right?
Yellow level, the realm of players.
Players. Okay, so this is where we start getting into like the big leagues.
You're starting businesses, making investments, building your own enterprise.
So you're not just working for someone else, you're creating something of your own.
Exactly. And the book provides some amazing examples of people who have done just that.
Yeah, like Michael and Chandresh.
Yes. Each with their own unique genius.
It's really inspiring to see how those principles can be applied in so many different ways.
And the journey doesn't stop there. We go even higher to green level, where you become a performer.
A performer. Okay, so what does that entail?
This is where you start building teams, creating systems, refining your processes.
So it's about scaling up your operations.
Yeah, leveraging the power of collaboration, moving beyond just individual effort.
So teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. And the book actually offers some really practical advice on this.
Oh, that's great. What kind of advice?
Well, it talks about establishing your enterprise, right? Refining your rhythm and synchronizing your steps with your team.
So it's about creating a well-oiled machine that can generate consistent results.
And finally, we reach blue level, the realm of conductors.
Conductor. Okay, so this is like the maestro level.
You're orchestrating a symphony of assets, investments, and ventures.
No, so you've got multiple streams of income flowing in.
Exactly. You're a true steward of wealth.
Wow, that sounds impressive.
It is. But the book emphasizes that reaching these higher levels, it requires a significant shift in mindset.
A shift in mindset. Okay,
Yeah.
So it's not just about the external strategies.
No, it's about your internal beliefs as well.
So what kind of shift are we talking about here?
It's about letting go of those limiting beliefs,
Okay.
and embracing the abundance that's available
Abundance.
when you align yourself with the flow of wealth.
So it's about believing that there's enough to go around for everyone?
Exactly. And the book provides some really practical tools and strategies
Okay.
for making that shift.
So it's not just like airy-fairy positive thinking. There are actual things you can do.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the principles of wealth creation and applying them in a way that's authentic to you.
Okay, so it's about finding what works for you and your unique genius.
Exactly. And remember, it's a continuous journey of learning and growth.
So we're never really done.
Never done. There's always more to learn and new levels to reach.
So even at the blue level, there's still room to grow.
Oh, absolutely. The journey doesn't end there.
This is really exciting. But before we move on to the final prism of the Wealth Lighthouse,
Okay.
let's take a moment to just recap what we've covered so far.
All right. So we've explored the concept of the Wealth Lighthouse and all those different levels of wealth creation.
Right.
We delved into those 4 genius types and how to leverage their strengths.
We talked about the importance of escaping that infrared level.
Right. Getting out of that negative cash flow trap.
And then we went through those steps to ascend through the levels of the enterprise prism.
From red level all the way to blue level.
But there's one more prism left to explore, right?
The alchemy prism.
The alchemy prism, which represents a realm beyond traditional wealth.
It's about becoming a trustee, impacting the world beyond just personal gain.
So it's about using your success to make a real difference.
Yeah.
It's like reaching that point where wealth becomes a tool for, positive change on a grander scale.
Right. It's not just about you anymore. It's about, leaving a legacy.
And what I find fascinating is that the book acknowledges, it doesn't offer a concrete roadmap for this alchemy prism.
Yeah, it's uncharted territory in a way.
Because even the author himself, he's still exploring this level.
He's right there with us,
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so cool.
It is.
It's like this shared exploration.
Exactly. We're all figuring it out together.
And it really emphasizes that even at, the highest levels of wealth creation.
Right.
There's always more to learn and discover.
Always evolving.
Okay. But the book does give us some glimpses into what this level entails.
It does. It introduces some really interesting concepts.
Okay. Like what?
Well, there's trump your trust.
Trump your trust. Okay.
Then there's capitalize your currency.
Capitalize your currency.
And connect your community.
Connect your community. Okay. So these are the guiding principles for the alchemy prism.
Yeah. They're the stepping stones.
Got it. And the book uses some pretty inspiring examples, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Like Richard Branson and Peter Diamandis.
So these are people who are really using their influence for good.
Yeah, they're not just sitting on their fortunes.
Right.
They're out there tackling global challenges.
Like what kind of challenges?
Well, Branson's obviously very passionate about, space travel and renewable energy. Mm-hmm. And Diamandis is all about solving those big, X Prize challenges.
Right, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Exactly. It's really inspiring to see how they're leveraging their success to create a better future.
It really challenges our traditional notion of what it means to be wealthy, doesn't it?
It does. It's not just about the money anymore.
It's about the impact you have.
Yeah, it's about making a difference in the world.
And that brings us back to those 8 empowering questions.
Ah, yes. Those are good ones.
That the author encourages us to reflect on, daily.
They're like little nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, they're so simple, but so powerful.
They really are.
And I think they can be especially powerful for, those who are on the path to wealth creation.
Yeah, they keep you grounded.
They help you stay focused on what truly matters.
And aligned with your values.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Millionaire Master Plan.
This has been fun.
It has, what would you say is the most valuable takeaway for our listeners?
I think the most important message is that wealth creation, it's not a one-size-fits-all formula.
Right. There's no magic bullet.
It's about understanding your own unique genius, aligning yourself with that flow of wealth, and just constantly evolving your mindset.
So it's a journey.
It is a journey.
Of self-discovery.
And personal growth.
As much as it is about, financial gain.
You got.
And I think the Millionaire Master Plan provides, an incredible framework for embarking on that journey.
It's a great starting point.
So for our listeners who are, feeling inspired and ready to take action, what would you recommend?
Pick up a copy of the book.
Okay.
And really dive into those 8 empowering questions.
Those questions are gold.
They can be a real game changer for your mindset and your approach to wealth creation.
And don't forget, the book also has all these online resources too, right?
Oh, yeah. There are assessments, playbooks.
It's like having a whole toolkit at your disposal to help you build your own Millionaire Master Plan.
And remember, the journey to wealth, it's unique for everyone.
Right. What works for one person
might not work for another.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it.
The key is to find what works for you. Stay committed to your vision and never stop learning and growing.
Beautifully said on that note. We want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Millionaire Master Plan.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And maybe even a little bit challenging.
And please subscribe to our channel for more such epic summaries. Happy reading.